I'll start by reviewing engagement letters, which is typically the first step in building out your advisory team. And this next slide illustrates a sample sell-side engagement letter. This is an agreement between the seller and their intermediary, and it defines the nature of the relationship. The first thing you'll notice is that it creates a fiduciary responsibility, meaning the intermediary will act on behalf of the seller and work for the seller's best interests. Next, the seller and intermediary will decide on the listing price, which assures that both parties are on the same page and share a common goal. And in many cases, BAMA, we won't even advertise the listing price to potential buyers. Oftentimes, we'll end up selling the company for more than the listing price, which is a win-win for both parties. The engagement letter also outlines the time frame of the engagement, and as Matt noted in a past webinar, the typical sales process is 9 to 12 months. But if you have special circumstances that arise that require you to shorten or lengthen that period, this is where you address that. And the meat of the engagement letter defines the roles of each party. For example, the seller in good faith is responsible for providing the intermediary with accurate data concerning financials and the business model. Also, the seller will want to make sure that they are operating the business in a diligent manner and disclose any material facts that arise during the transaction process. For the intermediary, they'll work in a diligent manner to ensure that the process is being confidential and that they're working in good faith to ensure that the company is being sold. They'll also work with the seller's advisors, whether it's their legal team or accounting advisors, to make sure the process is moving smoothly. Other commonly found items in the sell-side agreement would be any fees associated with the seller's and intermediary's relationship and any other conditions unique to their engagement. The next couple of slides highlight a sample buy-side engagement letter. And like the sell-side, the buy-side engagement creates a fiduciary responsibility between the agent and client. However, the nature of a buy-side agreement will require that specific language be catered around the buyer's investment criteria, and it will also define specific criteria of a quality target company. And in this example, we've got a situation where a buy-side client is looking to grow through add-on acquisitions. It's a privately held and PEG-sponsored motor manufacturing company. The first item is client approval, and what that is if there are other situations that the buyer is looking at, other relationships they have ongoing with other target companies, we'll want to identify that up front. Also, define the location and geography. Does the buyer want to expand in a local market, in a regional market, nationwide, international? So define those parameters up front. Economically, does the buyer want to acquire companies that are generating certain levels of revenue, 5 to 20 million, 20 to 50, up to 100, whatever it might be? Make sure you outline the revenue and the cash flows of your target company. Operating history. How long does the company need to be in business before a QTC really hits the metrics you're looking for? Sometimes companies are comfortable with acquiring a startup. Other times they want 10 or 15 years of operating history just to feel comfortable with that operation. And lastly, unique items around the business operation. Our clients looking to expand into DC motor capabilities, so we want to make sure that we outline that in our marketing materials. Do they need specific numbers around customer concentration? Any vendor codes, anything that's unique around the business model that you want to acquire, spell that out the best you can in the buy-side agreement. And generally speaking, a more clearly defined QTC will result in a more successful search, and it will also reduce the gray area from a legal perspective. So take your time to review engagement letters and make sure that you've got all your bases covered before executing any agreements. This is also a good time to go ahead and bring in some legal counsel to help review these engagement letters.